Awesome. Well, hello everyone. I'm Jake from Oklahoma Wesleyan University. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions on the traditional side of campus. I have some friends with me here who are going to tell us a little bit about some educational opportunities and some life hacks here. So we're just super thankful to have the opportunity to share some cool things about education here in Bartlesville, whether you knew we existed or not. So I am going to kick it off to our friend from Tri-County here. So let her introduce herself.
Well, Tri-County was a little sick today.
They were sick
today? They were sick today. Can you believe they were sick
No,
today?
I can't believe they're sick.
So actually, I'm Rhonda
Okay,
Ryden,
there we go.
and I am the director of Rogers State University, our Bartlesville campus. And I am absolutely thrilled to be joining Oklahoma Wesleyan University on our Life Hacks educational series for the month of July. And we're going to pass it to Kelly.
Yes, my name is Kelly, and I am also with Oklahoma Wesleyan, just like Jake. But my focus is working with students who are non-traditional is the term that we use, but that just means that maybe living on campus or doing a full schedule isn't going to work for you. So we can do completely online classes. We can do classes one night a week, and with our program, it is focused on one class at a time to meet your already hectic schedule as a working adult professional. So I'm a recruiter for that program, so I will be the face you see when you first enter the building, when you first need to ask questions and apply. So I'll be one of the ones that will help you with that. Okay.
Well, let's do this. Let's go over some life hacks. I got a couple here, but we might have a couple written down. I'll start with one, and then I'll pass it your way, and then we'll go to Kelly. All right. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. My first life hack that I put down here is scholarships are everywhere. So I hope not to steal anybody's thunder over here, but whether you are a traditional student, that means traditional kind of just means you're maybe a senior in high school, or you're wanting to come to our undergrad on-ground campus. I mean, scholarship search engines, FastWeb, niche.com is another great one, scholarships.com. One thing we like to say is create a different email to sign up for those scholarships, because they might blow you up, but hey, a $2,000 scholarship for writing a 30-minute essay is well worth it. That's $2,000 for 30 minutes of your time, right? I wish I could get paid $4,000 an hour. That'd be great. I love that. But scholarship search engines, scholarships are everywhere. Employers, you're talking. We have great scholarships for LPN and BSN students here at our campus, undergrad stuff. So, but scholarships are everywhere. You should not have to pay a whole lot of money to go to college. Colleges are expensive, but you can make them as affordable as you want. It's just about how proactive you want to be. I'd love to help give you some information. They definitely have resources as well. So that's my life hack number one. So,
I'm going to piggyback off of Jake's life hack, because it's very practical and it's very simple. But early bird gets the worm when they're dealing with FAFSA. So if you want to make sure you maximize your opportunity for grants, loans, any type of financial opportunities within the state of Oklahoma as well as the federal government, you need to be doing your FAFSA in October for the following year. That's going to start in August. And many traditional education institutions, I don't know about yours, but whenever you submit your application for admissions, which you can also do in October, if you have a FAFSA on file, it'll automatically apply you for any of the in-house school state scholarships immediately for you. So early bird will get the worm if you do your FAFSA in October. Do an application for any of the schools that you're interested in attending. You may want to list 3 or 4 on your FAFSA because you haven't made a decision yet, and you might want to apply to 3 or 4 schools to see what the best opportunity is going to best meet your needs.
I love that. That's just so good. Kelly?
Well, I'm actually just going to keep that thread going, because I have something that will be of use to our students who maybe they're not graduating high school right now. Maybe they graduated a few years ago. And that is, with your current employer, check to see if there are employee reimbursement programs through your HR department. Check with your director, your boss, your supervisor, and find out if there are scholarship opportunities through your employer. So again, all of those resources that they mentioned, fill out the FAFSA early, and still you can qualify for those. But then the adults might have that extra little avenue of finding out if their employer will reimburse them or have scholarships available for them.
And Kelly, there's some wonderful employers in Bartlesville
Yes.
that there are some phenomenal reimbursement opportunities when it comes to higher education.
That's right. Yes.
All right, life hack number 2 for me is most colleges, universities, tech programs will meet you where you're at. I think a lot of misnomers, especially with students I work with, they're like, you're not ready for me yet. I'm like, no, we want to meet you exactly where you're at. So Kelly's going to talk about kind of our GPS program, how they can meet you where you're at. One thing I definitely wanted to point out, and RSU has a great program here, so I'll let her kind of talk about that, but is our OU prep program. So high school concurrent dual credit stuff. We're seeing more and more students that are coming to college with 30, 40 credits, an associate's degree. And the cool thing about that is you're decreasing your overall cost over 4 years, and you're basically cutting your time in half. So you're coming to college and getting starting off with your major requirements right away of 30 credits or 60 credits towards your major requirements, paying half of what you normally pay for a 4-year education. So if you like not spending a lot of money on getting an education, that's definitely a way to do it. So we have very affordable concurrent dual credit classes running around about $100 or less an hour. So love to find out if you're interested in those, but we can meet you where you're at, whether that's open prep class, you're in high school, you're not ready for college yet, right? Or even adult stuff too. So yeah.
I'm going to continue piggyback
Come on.
off of Jay. I'm telling you, with concurrent at RSU Bartlesville or RSU in general, you can literally take 6 classes or 18 college credit hours as a junior in high school, as well as a senior in high school. So you can literally complete 36 college credit hours. And when he's talking about you're literally cutting that cost in half, because we do waive the tuition and most students are responsible for their fees and books. So it's a great way to get a jump on your education, great way to test the water. Maybe you find out, hey, this higher education may not be for me. We already know we have a world-renowned Tri-County Tech right down the road that has specific certificate programs that you can meet your specific needs. But I think in our community, we're very well blessed to have any type of educational opportunity, whether it's a private university, state university, or even a Tri-County Tech that is known for their specialty in a lot of different areas. There's an opportunity for everybody if you're motivated to just to buckle down and get the education that you need.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm gonna just keep on with that theme as well. You're making it easy for me. You guys just lobbing softballs to me right now. But how does that affect our adult population? Those 19, 20, 21-year-olds and older. So if maybe you have some credits, maybe you did some Tri-County Tech hours, or you tried out a community college somewhere years ago. Those at a regionally accredited school, those will still be able to be transferred in. Yes, they don't expire is what I'm trying to say. So don't think, well, that was years ago and it doesn't affect me anymore. We can still use that to add on, and again, cut your time and cut your expenses on that next degree that you're wanting to earn. Specifically for Tri-County Tech here in this area, we at Oklahoma Wesleyan University, we have a articulation agreement with Tri-County Tech. So if you completed a program, you have hours to bring in. You have hours to bring in that will go towards your associate's degree or possibly your bachelor's degree, depending on what program you're wanting. And we have, going back to the scholarship topic, I forgot to mention, employers that have these reimbursement opportunities for their employees, we actually extend a really great scholarship in-house to Tri-County Tech employees. So if you are someone who is fully employed at Tri-County Tech, or you know someone that is, let them know we've got some scholarships just for them.
No, that's good. Anything else you want to add on that?
Retired, do you all do the state completion program? I believe you do. It's called it's a degree completion program, an initiative from the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. I think that even though we're focused on 16 to 23 or so year olds, I do want people to be aware that that is an opportunity that whether it's at RSU or OWU, that I think it is a phenomenal initiative for the state, and that the philosophy is we got started in school and life happens, and for whatever reason we take a break. This initiative is we recognize in the state of Oklahoma, most of the time, not always, but typically the higher the education or the higher degree, the potential of a higher income, which in turn you're going to stay in the state of Oklahoma. We're going to spend our money, which generates the revenue of the state of Oklahoma. So they're going to help their help Oklahoma people, and then we help them. So that program, it allows you to kind of pile all of those credits that we took here and there and everywhere, and complete that degree in in a shorter amount of time. Typically, and it's a great way for someone that may already have that position, that they don't have the degree to maybe possibly back up that next promotion. So I want everyone to be aware that that's a great opportunity. If you feel like my time has already come and gone for wrapping up the loose ends to complete a degree, that opportunity is definitely well and alive in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and many of opportunities available if you just take that opportunity.
Well, that's good. And even building off of that, I mean, you're talking articulation agreements, right? I mean, if you're taking classes at Tri-County, down the road, there's so many, we want to get students credits. I think that's just such a thing that, I don't know if a lot of students even know that, but colleges want transfer credits. We want students to get as many credits towards their major, whether it's transferring in or working, towards that degree at OPU. So articulation agreements are huge. I mean, credits transfer. I mean, no matter if I love the testing the waters. That's just so good. I talk to students all the time. It's like internships, right? I did elementary education at Oklahoma Wesleyan, and the first classroom I got into was a kindergarten classroom, and I was like, she's singing the whole time, like, this is not for me. So I'm like, this is great though, because I got into the classroom, I was like, wow, I know I don't want to be a kindergarten teacher. So I'm starting to figure out what I want to do. So same thing with college, college isn't for everyone, and we totally understand that, right? I love that colleges are making things for adult learners so easily accessible for people who want to stay at home and study online. There are so many options for that now out there. It's just finding something that fits for you, because you're totally right. We've seen trends that students who have college degrees might be getting better jobs or higher paying salaries, and I'm all about money. I want students to get as much money as possible. I want to make as much money as humanly possible. So I heard education is kind of a key to getting more money. So I'm like, I better dive into that. So I absolutely love that. So,
let's take a step back.
Okay.
Not necessarily a life hack, but let's keep something very simple. Let's talk about like the admissions requirements for each university.
Yeah.
And I dealt with someone on the phone today, and it was kind of fun. She's just like all worried about being accepted, and she has the right GPA and all of this. And I want everyone to know that Rogers State University has an open admissions policy. And we do feel that everyone has the right for higher education, no matter what your ACT score is going to say. And because of COVID and some changes, we also have initiated a test optional component to our admissions process. So with an online application, so everything these days is all streamlined online, so we must do that online application. And with a proof of graduation or a GED, some high school equivalency, that would immediately put you into being accepted as a student. Then we can take a look at your ACTs if you have them, or we can do some placement testing in our office to see what would be the best level and that you meet within the requirements of the State Board of Education to put you in particular classes. So open admissions, do your application online. We need your proof of graduation or equivalency, and we can make things happen.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. You want to speak on behalf of GPS?
I'll talk about anyone who maybe you have already graduated high school and it's behind you, and you didn't think you were going to go to college, and you didn't take an ACT or SAT, and that's okay. We have stipulations for that as well. So our application process on the GPS side is, again, start with the application. It's online, and we have waived our application fee for our graduate professional students. So that's if you're not traditional track, if you're not moving on to campus and attending, full time, then that's you. So we waive the application fee. You start with your application, and you will be contacted by a admissions counselor, a recruiter, such as myself, and we will walk you through the entire process. When you start with one admissions counselor, you stay with that admissions counselor through the entire time. I like to keep my students until they're in their second week of class. And then I really am not a specialty there anymore. So they've got their instructor, they've got their advisor. Again, the advisor stays with you your entire time that you're in the program that you're in. You may switch advisors if you switch programs. Let's say you finish your associate's degree and then go into a specific field that's not under that advisor, but you will be with the same one or two people your entire time through there. We do have a GPA requirement, but again, talking about needing either an ACT or SAT, we don't have to have that. There are other qualifications that we can base admissions on. Your GPA not high enough, there are other qualifications that we can base your admissions on. So that's the benefit of working with an advisor, with an admissions counselor that knows your story. And if we need to, we can take your admissions file to an appeals committee and get you on the right track to getting enrolled. So,
no, that's good. Yeah. Piggybacking off of both of those, application is key. But application, on the undergrad side, we do look at GPA, high school transcript. Oklahoma Wesleyan, for us, we're not a test optional school. However, if you weren't able to take an ACT or an SAT, I'm working with a couple students out of California or even like out in Washington, where it's just really hard for them to take an ACT in person right now. There's a CLT test that we're allowing them to take. It's an online test, as well as worst case scenario, say you weren't able to take one, we offer an ACT residual test here on our campus as well. So that just really helps with class placement for us. We want to set students up for success, and being able to kind of determine what kind of class we can put them in based off of those scores will really, really help us. So those are kind of the key things. But like you said, I work with students all the time that might not have done so well in high school like myself. And so we want to be advocates for everybody. We want as many students to get a degree as possible. And I love the fact that they work with admissions counselors who become kind of partners with their journey. And so we can get a file together to go to appeals committee and get them through that way as well. So no, that's good. I don't have any more life hacks here. That's good.
Life hacks, just things and wonderful things about Bartlesville is that a giant university just isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's another blessing about having an opportunity to possibly be commute and cut your higher education a lot even lower as far as costs if you can live at home and be a commuter to one of the the local universities. That would be wonderful. But usually room and board is where it can get you a little sticky, but you guys have a lot of people from out of state that come from all over the United States.
Yeah, no, we'll have a lot of people who maybe play a sport there that are coming from all over the United States. But we do have a lot of commuter students as well. That's one thing we see as in the post-COVID world. It's cutting costs.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
So that is helpful for a lot of people as well. So back to the 16-year-old. Can we talk about that concurrent a little bit more to kind of light a fire underneath it? Because rumor has it school's going to be starting in the very near future. So all of the procrastinators maybe that have been thinking about or already know they're definitely doing concurrent, I'm trying to light your fire to get going. Let's get that application done online. Wherever you're planning on going, let's get that high school transcript printed. Even if they said they sent it electronically, let's make sure that they sent it. And let's get that going, because early bird does get the worm. And if we've been enrolling for this fall semester since March. I don't know about you. March also is. So those classes are starting to narrow as far as availability and seats availability. So if that is really something that you've been planning on, It's in your plan, on your schedule, whatever, as far as school's concerned. It's time to get with it, to get the application in, or even just complete the admissions and enrollment process.
Yeah. No, that's good. I can echo that for days. I mean, one thing that we kicked off is Tell Library. So we do a lot of our concurrent dual credit stuff on a fully online platform as well. So even if you're watching this and you're not from the Bartlesville area, you can't come on ground for our traditional classes and take dual credit stuff or and concurrent enrollment. You can still take an online version of United States government, right? I'm a huge in-person kind of learner, but for those of you who may want some credits, we definitely have an online platform as well. And classes are filling up. That's key. If you want to wait till the last minute, you might be told there's not a spot, and that's just hard because some high schoolers are counting on that as part of their curriculum. So anyway,
a lot of students plan on taking Comp 1 in the fall and then Comp 2 in the spring. What you gonna do if you come and all Comp 1s are full? So early bird gets the room, get it going. We do also offer on-ground classes, and I'm a big advocate, especially if it's concurrent. I think that still kind of tests the waters and way down towards the deep, but I'm still a big advocate for on-ground. But we do have blended classes, which is kind of the best of both worlds. You're going to have that instructor for one day a week, but that other day that you normally would come, that's when you would complete your homework online and submit that online through that platform. So I always call the blended is the best of both worlds. But we do have Zoom classes because we do have 3 campuses on Bartlesville, Pryor, and Claremore. So our Zoom classes, we can kind of be live in one location but Zoom out to the other locations. And we also have our RSU Public TV classes where we teach various classes, Cherokee 1 and some government and some with theater, cinema, I believe. But we have various RSU TV classes that are also available to students.
That's awesome. I love it. And I mean, I know there's a bunch of scholarships out there for that. Even for us, I mean, if a student takes any amount of credits through their concurrent program, we actually will give it back to them fully in scholarships over 8 years, or over not 8 years, 4 years, 8 semesters. We're talking semesters around here. But so if you spend $2,000 on the concurrent program before you get into the undergrad, you come to Oklahoma Wesleyan and finish your undergrad, it'll be split up over your 4 years there, and you'll get all your money back for every dollar you spent within our Oakland Prep program. And so there's so many scholarships out there. There's just so much money out there that if you apply for it, if you look for it, you can save a lot.
Exactly. Well, great life hack is most people think, oh, higher education's so expensive and I can't afford it, so I just can't go. Well, biggest life hack, yes, you can afford it. It is available, and it's just whether you're willing to take the time to work with somebody to help you work on your individual plan to make your goals and your dreams and your aspirations work well for you and make that happen.
Yep.
So, where there's a will, there's a way.
That's so true. That is so true.
I will never forget one time this lady made a comment to a student and said, this kid wanted to go to school, and he waited for her to come home for lunch. And he said, you just got out of the military, and said, I figured out what I want to do, and I'm going to go to college. And she said, oh, honey, they don't let poor people go to school. Well, they do. And that particular individual ended up being a physician. So my life hack is don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. Positive thinking will get you many places. But the only person that's going to be holding you back is you, because there's plenty of people there to help you along your life educational journey. And there's wonderful people in this community to help you get there.
Yep, I agree.
I was just going to throw one thing in just to bring back in maybe our older or adult. I was going to say listening, but watching. I guess you're watching, not listening. Older listeners. So when you have gone out into the world, maybe you've gotten some licenses, some certificates. Maybe it's from a program like Tri-County Tech, or maybe it is something like CPR certification. Those things will actually transfer in and as college credit. I actually have a whole list of things that are for that will transfer in as college credit for the healthcare professional side of things. Maybe if you're a nurse or going into nursing or something, and then also more business or community related things. So there are ways to, again, kind of that theme of money, scholarships, time, the investment that it's going to take to get your degree, you probably have some life experience that will count as college credit. So that's something that you would actually work with your advisor one-on-one. They know your story. They know what you have to bring into the table. So maybe you've been out in the workforce for a few years and you have your forklift driving operator license. Maybe you are certified in CPR. Maybe you're certified to teach CPR. That's even more credits. So like I said, there's a big list of that we can share with you. You probably have some credits you can bring in.
Well, that's good. That's good. If we looked at just our high school students right now that are looking to go to a college, we all work with a lot of those. What would be your best advice you could give them, say, right now? So they're entering their senior year, maybe, or they're entering into the next year of high school. What would be the best advice you could give them? Something you haven't mentioned already. What would that be?
And 10 years later, you're going to say, if I only knew then what I know now. So listen to your parents and listen to your peers or your adult or your elders, because they really are trying to steer you on that path. That's the best I can do.
No, that's good.
They're trying to get you there. I hear that all the time. I've been with RSU for 14 years, and so I started. There's some people, it's like, oh my gosh, and I'm thrilled to see them back. But we have that conversation many a times. Then I am very grateful. I always tell them, and sometimes life will have you take 2 steps back in order to go 10 steps forward, and you learn something with that temporary break, and you definitely had your own educational experience with those 2 steps back, but just don't stay there. As long as you go that 10 steps forward, you're going to get to your goal, and you're going to get where you want to be and fulfill your goals and your educational dreams.
That's so good.
Just don't give up.
Love it. Kelly, as you look at our adult learners, maybe, or even some online students potentially, what best advice you can give them right now?
So, best advice I can give you, and something I hear every single time I'm out in the community, every single time I'm at an event, at a table, people come up to me and they say, oh, I'm too old. I'm too old. It's too late for me. Oh, that ship has sailed. It has not sailed. We have people well into their senior years, into their silver years, what is the term? I don't know. But we have enrolled people well into their 60s and even 70s to complete a degree. Maybe they're already retired. Maybe they want to teach. Maybe it's just a bucket list, and they want to show their family that I accomplished this. They want to do it for themselves. So it's never too late. And I know I'm talking to a younger audience right now, but if you're just a few years out of high school, if you're still in your 20s, it is absolutely not too late. So,
or if your mom or dad never completed, we do have, a parent and I'm not going to call them a child, but a parent and their child, I guess. Yeah. But we do have some of those that have gone through that journey together. So it's never too late. And sometimes it just takes another family member to motivate someone to get you there.
Yeah. No, that's so good. If I was, say, talking to a 15, 16-year-old right now, I'd probably just say, start looking at schools. Start asking the question of, what are you looking for, right? I mean, I talk to students that want to get out of Bartlesville and go someplace really far away. I talk to students who want to stay home. But what are the intangibles for you? What are the things you cannot get rid of, right? The things that have to be constant. So maybe that's, you want a really large school. You want to kind of be a part of a bigger community. Great, go check that out. Go on a campus visit. That's going to be the biggest telltale of you really do love it, or maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want a private Christian small school, right? We have a great one here in Bartlesville. Maybe you want a smaller, public state school. We have a great one here. So just look at your options. What do you want? And then I would say go visit, right? Pick about 5 schools. Limit your options down to about 5 schools, because sometimes some colleges have application fees. We're lucky we don't, but get 5 schools, make 5 applications, see what kind of communication the school is going to have to you, and then go visit all 5 and say, okay, what do I want? But differentiate, right? Get you a couple different options of private, public, big, small, all that kind of stuff.
And do not do that because you haven't decided on a major.
No.
The typical freshman is going to change their major an average of 3 to 5 times. So do not start because you haven't figured all that out. That is why higher education is typically designed the way it's designed. It allows you kind of to figure that out along your journey.
Yeah.
So once you get the ball started and get that ball rolling, it'll all those pieces of the puzzle will eventually come together if you just allow yourself that opportunity.
Oh, that is so good.
I just thought of one more thing. I'm gonna jump in there. Sorry, I keep adding. But I would say if you try it, do all the things that they just said. Absolutely, 100%. But let's say you try it and it didn't work. That's okay.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Just because you had a bad experience at one restaurant doesn't mean you're never going to go to a restaurant again. Just because you had a bad experience at a church doesn't mean you're never going to go to church again. You're going to find the one that fits you. So maybe you're sitting there and I tried that a year ago and it didn't work for me. Well, try something new. Try a different flavor. And like I said, or like Jake was saying, there's plenty of opportunities here locally if you want to stay close to home.
I mean, changing your major, right? I mean, everybody's biggest misconception is changing your major is going to set me 3 years behind. I mean, the truth is, your first year and a half to 2 years, you're really getting a general core curriculum that a lot of the majors have. So, I mean, I've seen students change their major senior year, and what do they have to do? Maybe take 5 extra credits, but they graduated on time and everything was good. So, changing your major is not something to be scared about. Going into colleges and not knowing what you want to major in is not something to be scared about.
Keep
a lot
it
of
simple.
times, yeah.
Really, I mean, I think a lot of people make it really
Really
difficult.
difficult.
Oh my goodness. But really just keep it simple. And,
Yeah.
and there's plenty of people to help you keep it simple.
Yeah, I think my favorite question when people are undecided is to ask them, what are you passionate about? Because as soon as you tell one of us what you're passionate about, I guarantee you all 3 of us have an option for you to be successful in the field that you are passionate about. So,
And
I
we
love
all
that
know
question. Yeah.
if you find your passion, you find your purpose.
Amen. Yeah, no, that is so good. That is so good. Wow. Well, I don't have anything else here. No other life hacks for me. I think I am tapped out. Go ahead. Yes.
What if someone had it where they were graduated from high school and then they went to the military and then they decided to go to college? Is there anything special or they need to know or to help with that? Or
We have a VA counselor that works directly with them as far as their funding, whichever GI Bill, and all. And I'm very grateful that we do have a specific person educated and designed to handle all that, because there's so many different facets of that. And then depending on their major, they would work with that department if they have all of their military credits and things, and they're looking to have some of those transfer in. It's up to their degree and their department to decipher what's going to be workable or transferable in that regard.
so if you have military experience, be aware that the college may have some place that you can talk to.
Absolutely, always.
Chapter 35 is a
That's
huge one.
huge.
I mean, you're talking parents who have even been in the military where their students are not going to school. They didn't use those benefits. There's a ton of resources out there for them like that. And a lot of it's working with that VA counselor, working with the VA, but no, there's a ton of opportunities. I've worked with a bunch of students who are after military that came in and finished their undergrad or went on and did the GPS program. And so that's a great question.
That's an excellent
I was
question.
also going to share that you mentioned about scholarships. And initially, people think, well, scholarships, I get a scholarship because that helps me pay for my college, but it also looks good on your resume. It also
Absolutely.
looks good in your applying later if you want more advanced degree in higher education or grad school. So short term is just the money, but it also will help overall.
And I also would like to add, if you are going to school full time and maybe working part time or not, and you've got some scholarship, another thing, I always tell people your career really starts when you're in college, and you're building your resume while you're in college. So those extracurricular activities, I always say somebody should be kind of tied into at least one additional thing. I think that's very important to be aware that it's not just about the textbook and all of that, to really be successful and reach that end goal with that degree, is there's a lot of other facets that go in to retain and that retention of that student. And a lot of it is being involved in other things besides just the classroom.
A lot of disciplines have their own organization.
Mhm.
Become more involved.
But putting things like that on your resume, and in this community, I just can't encourage people to volunteer. That looks excellent on a resume, especially if you don't have a lot of work experience after you graduate. You received this scholarship, you were involved in this organization, you volunteered, did all of this various things. That's going to tell me if I was a hiring authority, that they can handle and maintain, they can multitask and they can stay on top of things versus that one person that maybe did excellent in school, but that's all they did. So I believe your career does start when you're starting your higher education and you're building your resume from day one, and it can be very beneficial for you if you kind of expand beyond that.
I have a question. How often do you guys look at LinkedIn to find potential students?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. LinkedIn isn't one that we've really actually tapped into. However, I know I've seen a lot of graduates on there and stuff, or people who have even like when they went to school for 2 years.
More
and then
career
left.
placement on
Yes.
LinkedIn is more career placement
Yeah.
opportunities, I would think, more so than recruiting. But that's a good question. And that may give us a route and additional avenue. I love that question.
From colleges on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Okay, good to know. That is awesome.
No, I mean, even going back to just what you were saying about the employers is making yourself the most, I use the word just attractive in the workforce though, but by having more credentials or more accolades or more volunteer opportunities, more community serving things, you're competing against everybody else who just applied for that job. So what are you doing to differentiate yourself and make yourself more attractive in the workplace, right? If you come in with 150 hours of volunteer work in the community rather than somebody who might not have that, right then and there as an employer, I'm like, oh wow, they can juggle so many things outside of just, they can read a textbook and they can retain information. That's great, but how are you actually applying that to your life and what are you doing with that? So I just think that's so good. That could be a whole 4-hour section.
She's
Right
gonna
there.
call us back, you know.
I can talk about it. We'll go back and forth. So that's good. So
When you're assigned an advisor, what can you expect from an advisor in college?
yeah, well, that's good.
And they walk you through the whole, an advisor should be able to walk you through, even for us, because we can walk you through the admissions process and what's the enrollment process, but then every semester work with their degree plan. I was an advisor at Bartlesville campus for years, and honestly, I would walk them from the very first time they ever walked in the door all the way down to completing their application for graduation for their bachelor degree. So as an advisor, as she touched on earlier, basically that is your link and your resource. And I think sometimes if somebody knows your name, it makes you feel like you have that connection. And I think the more connections you make, the more you're more apt to be successful because you feel more comfortable. It's just like you're second home. But your advisor walks you through your educational journey and through your resource. If you have any issues, they may not have all the answers. I definitely am far from all the answers, but at least we know that the department or the person that can help them, whatever their issue is.
So on the GPS side, our advisors, they specialize in certain degree programs. So if you choose one degree program, you'll be with one advisor, a different one, you'll be with a different advisor, but they stay with you through that entire degree program. Like I said, they know your story, they know what credits you're bringing in, they know what your goals are. I always say that to a new student, to an incoming student, your advisor is your advocate, you know? So if you are, facing, difficulties, if you have a surgery coming up, in our population, a lot of times we're dealing with students who have aging parents, and they're also taken care of, and sometimes children as well. So they're in the middle, they're in that age range where they're being pulled in all different directions. Make sure your advisor knows those things in advance, because if they can advise you to maybe sit out a course, or maybe don't take 2 courses at the same time during this season of life. And so I would agree, there's a relationship that's built there, and I personally am great friends with all of our advisors. I know them, I can call them at home if I need to. So yeah, it's a relationship.
We can be the problem solver.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of times that student, they just won't say anything. They won't come to you with that problem. So sometimes, if we have our system our retention system where, even instructors, if they see someone that's kind of slacking off or not attending anymore, they can notify us, and we just make that personal call. We don't know what they're doing in the classroom once they leave our office, but we continue that personal approach and try to do everything to get them hooked up make that phone call and say, hey, we have this tutoring, opportunity, or we can go visit the writing center, or we have this math tutor. But find out why what's happened. Is it a life situation, or is it, is it just, it's getting too hard and I don't know what to do? But usually if we're aware, we can find the resources or kind of help do some problem solving for the students to help them be successful.
Ours is a little bit different. So we have basically 2 teams here. So admissions counselors will walk students through from application all the way until they move in on campus.
Yeah.
But then in that, we introduce them to their advisor, which is an actual professor or the dean or a doctor in the realm of where they want to study in their school. And so then from that point, they kind of walk them through every semester of the class schedule and stuff like that. So just because of what we do with moving students, there's just so much that the admissions counselor will help them do that, and then we connect them to an advisor who we always like, because they're the experts in the field. They can answer the questions about, should I take this class over this class because I want to do this? They're like, oh, do this one because that's going to gear you more towards what you really want to do. So putting me in that role, I'm like, I can be an advocate all day long, but being an expert in business. Whew.
Well, and then we do the same. We do hook them up with a departmental advisor, and we just work as a team because we are at a branch campus. Yeah. But on the main campus, they do roll into a departmental advisor once they hit a certain 30 credits. So they're not completed with their gen eds, but they will go on into that as well.
So that's good. That's good. In my opinion, that's the best way to do it.
I agree. I think that's all we have.
Okay. Well, that looks like that's all we got. Thank you for those watching online. Appreciate it. Watching at a later date. You guys are awesome. So, anyways, let us know if you need anything. You can find us on our websites, Rogers State, Oklahoma Wesleyan.
Come see us.
Yeah, come see us. Awesome.